Put a mirror in front of your dog and watch what happens. It barks, it growls, maybe it wags its tail and tries to play, because your dog is certain of one thing. There is another dog in that glass, a stranger, and it has no idea that stranger is itself. This is not a sign your dog is dim. It is one of the strangest facts in all of biology. Almost every animal that has ever lived looks into a mirror and sees a complete stranger staring back. Cats, monkeys, birds, fish, dogs. They react to the reflection as if it were another creature right there in the room. Recognizing the animal in the mirror as you, and not a rival, turns out to be one of the rarest tricks in the whole animal kingdom. Only a tiny handful of species on the entire planet can do it. And the list is so strange it will surprise you. So what does it take to know your own reflection? And why can so few animals on Earth manage it? Let us take a look. To find out which animals truly recognize themselves, scientists needed a clever test. And in 1970, one psychologist built it. His name was Gordon Gallup, and his idea was beautifully simple. It is now known as the mark test. First, you give the animal a mirror, and you leave it there for days. At first, the animal treats the reflection as a rival. It might posture or threaten or try to look behind the glass for the other creature it is sure is hiding back there. But some animals, after a while, do something remarkable. They stop treating it as a stranger and start using it as a mirror. They pick food from their teeth. They inspect parts of their body they could never normally see. The penny has dropped. Now comes the real trick. While the animal is asleep or distracted, scientists gently place a bright mark on its face or head. A mark it cannot see or feel, in a spot it could never spot without a mirror. Then they bring the mirror back, and they watch. If the animal sees the mark in the mirror and reaches up to touch it on its own body, that is the moment. It knows the reflection is itself. Gallup tried this first with chimpanzees, and they passed. They saw the strange mark and immediately reached up to feel their own face. It was the first hard evidence that an animal other than a human could recognize itself. A tiny window into another mind. Soon our closest cousins joined the club. Orangutans, with their slow, thoughtful gaze, passed the test too. So did bonobos, the gentle, playful apes who share almost all of our own DNA. These great apes look into the glass, and, unmistakably, they see a self looking back. But then there is the gorilla, the odd one out. Most gorillas seem to fail the classic test entirely. Many scientists think that is because gorillas find a direct stare threatening, so they simply avoid looking. The test may not suit them. For years, it seemed like a club for apes alone, only creatures with hands and faces like ours. Then the ocean spoke up. In 2001, two scientists tested bottlenose dolphins, animals with no hands, no arms, nothing to point or touch with. They marked the dolphins with ink, then let them swim to a mirror set into the wall of their pool. And the dolphins did something astonishing. They swam straight to the mirror and twisted their bodies to get a look at the mark. They spun and turned, angling the marked spot toward the glass, inspecting it just the way you would check a stain on your shirt. With no hands to touch the mark, they used their whole body to study it. There was no doubt. They knew that dolphin was them. It was the first time any creature outside the great apes had ever passed. The club was bigger and stranger than anyone had thought. Then came an animal even further from us, enormous, wrinkled, and wielding the strangest tool in nature. The elephant. In 2006, researchers gave Asian elephants a mirror big enough to fit their whole huge bodies. At first, the elephants explored it, even trying to peer behind it and reaching over the top with their trunks. Then they marked one elephant, named Happy, with a small bright spot on her forehead, above her eye where she could never see it. Happy walked up to the mirror, and then, slowly, she lifted her trunk and touched the mark on her own head, again and again. She was using the reflection to find something on her body she could never otherwise reach. An elephant checking herself in the mirror, a creature that size, holding the same rare spark of self-recognition as a small human child. The list was getting wonderfully weird. Now everything so far had been a mammal, big-brained, warm-blooded, more or less like us. Surely that was the pattern. Then a bird broke it. In 2008, scientists tested the Eurasian magpie, a clever cousin of the crow with a brain no bigger than a walnut. They put a small coloured sticker on the magpie's throat, in a spot it could only ever see in a mirror. And the magpie, seeing that odd spot in the glass, began to scratch at its own throat with its foot, trying to remove it. It was trying to get rid of a mark it had only ever seen as a reflection. The bird knew that magpie was itself. This was a bombshell. A bird with a brain built on a completely different plan from ours had passed a test only apes had cracked before. Self-recognition, it turned out, was not a special gift of the great apes. Nature had invented it more than once, on very different branches of life. If a magpie recognizing itself in a mirror just blew your mind a little, tap subscribe. Curio explores one of these every single day. Okay, back to it. But if a bird was surprising, what happened next was almost unbelievable. It sent a shockwave through the whole field of animal minds. In 2019, scientists claimed that a fish had passed the mirror test. A small reef fish called the cleaner rarest. This is a fish the length of your finger, with a brain smaller than a pea. And yet, the results looked exactly like self-recognition. The researchers put a coloured mark on the fish, in a place it could only see in the mirror. And the fish tried to scrape it off. It rubbed the marked spot against the sand, over and over, as if desperate to remove something it had seen only in its reflection. If a finger-sized fish can do this, then either self-recognition is far more common than we ever dreamed, or the test is not measuring what we think. And that troubling little fish forces us to ask a much deeper question. What does passing the mirror test really prove? Gordon Gallup believed the answer was profound. To recognize yourself in a mirror, he argued, you must first have a sense of self. You have to hold an idea of me inside your head. And that, he suggested, is the doorway to a rich inner world. But many scientists are not so sure. They think the mirror test might measure something much simpler. Maybe the animal is not thinking that is me. Maybe it has just learned that the shape in the mirror moves exactly when its body moves. With that alone, it can use the mirror to map its own body and find a mark, without ever having a deep sense of self at all. There is another problem too. The mirror test is built entirely around eyesight, and that quietly stacks the deck. Think of your dog again. Its whole world is built on smell, not sight. Ask it to know itself by scent, and it might pass with ease. By testing only vision, we may be handing the trophy to animals like us, and unfairly failing animals who simply live in a different sense. So here is where the science honestly stands. A short, strange guest list has passed the mirror test. Great apes, dolphins, Asian elephants, magpies, and a controversial little fish, scattered across branches of life that split hundreds of millions of years ago. They share almost nothing in body or brain, and yet each one, somehow, looked into the glass and found itself. But what that moment truly means, we still cannot say for certain. Is it a spark of real self-awareness, the same wonder you feel looking in your own mirror? Or a clever trick of body and movement? Nobody yet knows. The line between recognizing your reflection and truly knowing yourself is one of the great mysteries of the animal mind. What we do know is humbling. That flash of recognition, that quiet "who is that?" then, "oh, that is me," is something you share with only a handful of creatures on Earth. The next time you catch your own eye in a mirror, remember how rare that simple little moment really is. Almost every creature that has ever lived would only ever see a stranger. You see yourself. Stay curious.